What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Skylar Fiction Show. I'm, of course, Skylar Fiction. How's everybody doing tonight? I'm feeling really good. I got some really good and exciting news for all of you. As you may know, and I talked about, I believe, last night or the night before, we kind of run into a little hiccup, and Mike Winger was not going to be coming on my channel. Uh, well, we have worked everything out. It's water under the bridge. I think there was a little bit of a miscommunication. We kind of put everything aside, and it's official. He will be back on my channel on Monday, November 12th, for a conversation with video. So big shout out to Mike Winger. Folks, don't be too hard on him. How can I say this? It can sometimes be tough for Christians to give them a little credit to come into the wolf's den, right? It can be very people have sometimes, especially someone like me or someone as knowledgeable as Josh, it can be difficult to talk to. Not that we're not nice, friendly people, but we kind of know our stuff, and we could ask some tough questions. And sometimes also you have a lot of people. It isn't just atheists, Christians like this too, because I'm actually probably in a situation right now where I have someone trying to get me on their channel that might be not getting me on their channel for the best reasons. People do try to misrepresent things to guests, make them seem like they're doing something when they're really trying to do something else. So I can kind of understand his viewpoint and wanting to be careful. So that's all we're going to say about that. Monday, it's back on. Everything is good. I'm very excited that Mike Winger will be on the channel. You know what I do need to do? We need to give a big shout out really quick. And I need to let him know that if there's a gentleman that actually donated to my Patreon that night, and actually donated $100 and said, was basically thanking me for taking the time off to do that hangout. And he was sorry that Mike canceled. And it was very, very generous. $100 is a lot of money. I know I'm not made of money, and certainly $100 is huge in my book. But let me get his name real quick. I should have had this ready earlier. Where is it? Why is it missing? Let me go to my mail. Anyways, while I'm doing this, let's say hello to Dr. Josh. Dr. Josh, why don't you introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about you and where people can find your channel. You can find a link to his channel in the description. But Josh, who are you? We all know you're my co-host, but who are you really? What about yourself?
Well, thank you, Skylar. I appreciate you having me back on, and it's good to be here again. Love spending time with you and your audience. I think you guys are fantastic. I'm Dr. Joshua Bowen, and my wife Megan and I run Digital Hammurabi, and it's a channel that tries to bring the ancient Near East to life and make it easy for people to understand. We have PhDs in Assyriology, so we read ancient Sumerian and Akkadian, and I have a lot of experience with Hebrew and Greek and Aramaic and blah blah blah. So this sort of stuff is really a lot of fun for me, and I'm glad I can be here to kind of help out. So
you're amazing, and we love having you on here. And so the name that's showing up on Patreon, I think it's the same name on YouTube, is Rob Gustafsson. I'm probably butchering that name, but Rob, that was very, very generous of you. And with him coming back on the channel, I would completely understand if you took away that $100 Patreon for this month. You don't have to do it. If you want to keep it on, that's absolutely fine too. But thank you for just being so generous and kind in that situation. So what are we going to do tonight? I don't know. We kind of just last minute kind of put this together. I messaged Josh and I was like, it's Friday night. We need to do something. We have a video. I did put a video up that him and I can do commentary on. But as I always do, I reach out to anybody who may disagree with Josh or I, or have a different opinion on theology, or would like to correct us on something maybe from one of our Bible studies. You can definitely come on tonight. All you gotta do is email us at skylarfictionshow@gmail.com. I will send you a link, and you'll be here live chatting with us. If we don't have any takers, we're gonna go ahead and start jumping into doing a little video review. I'll just make sure nobody has sent any emails, so none yet. I'm sure soon we'll have some of the trolls in the audience. I'm surprised we don't have any yet. But the night is still young as far as that goes. Yeah, so where do I begin, man? What's been happening in life? I'm gonna have a lot of days off next week. I requested some extra days off. Let's see. I have a couple extra days off, so you'll expect to see more videos. You got anything coming up on your channel? Anything exciting that you're gonna be having soon?
Yeah, Megan, what are we? What's coming up? My mind goes blank in these situations. They're asking what's coming up on the channel.
We'll do a book club tomorrow.
Oh yeah, we're doing our book club tomorrow night. Oh, my birthday's on Sunday.
Oh, your birthday Sunday?
Oh right.
Not a birthday?
Yeah.
So what do you?
Veterans Day.
Josh? What are you guys? What are you going out with your wife? What are you guys gonna do?
I don't know. Yeah, I'm just hearing about it just now. So I guess the book club's going to be earlier, and then Sunday night we're going to Mr. Atheist channel for Sunday Mass. Should be interesting.
You know, can I tell you? And he's agreed to it. I actually messaged him the other day, so he's going to do one of these Bible readings with us, Josh.
Awesome.
Really exciting. But how I position it to him, because I have a weird sense of humor, is that, you know, he does the Stewie Griffin voice. And he has agreed that he will read the Bible out loud in the Stewie Griffin voice for that episode. And of course, he will help us do commentary and talk about things going on. So that should be super exciting. So that will be happening soon. I invited him tonight, but I knew he was so last minute. I didn't think he'd be able to make it. But we're going to be lining up that very, very soon. And it should be fun. We also have to, and you got to make sure that I do this, is I got to get back with, is it that guy James, the one from the comment section who went out and got the little mic, the little headphones?
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's terrible. That I can't remember his name.
I have him in my email. I think his name's James M. some Madison or something like that.
Is it Richard?
Richard. It might be. Yeah, that might be it actually.
Really nice guy.
Yes, super, super nice guy. He's going to be we're going to get him on here, and that will be a good discussion. I'm going to message him maybe this week. I just have to, I just got to do it and stop slacking. I've been playing a little bit of that Fallout game, the beta version of it, and I'm a little disappointed. I'm going to be honest with you folks. I don't know if you have any gamers out there, but it's much more difficult than the other Fallout games. It's complicated. It's all online. There's some major changes. It's just not as fun as I had hoped it to be. But you know what? I think we need to get into watching this video. I hope the audio is working. Everybody is working good for you. And like I said, hopefully, Josh, try to keep an eye on the chat for me. If anybody decides they want to come in tonight, you're theist, Christian, Muslim. Hey, it'd be fun to get a Muslim in here. We haven't had a Muslim ever. That would be a good discussion. And they'd probably have a better advantage against me. I haven't read the Quran, or at least haven't read it in many years. So let's do this. The video we chose tonight to kind of do a little chat on is, what's the name of this video? Is going to be it's called How to Completely Refute Atheism. It's by Jeff Durbin of Apologia Radio. I've had some fun stuff. I've had some fun with some of his videos before, and we haven't watched this. So I forwarded a little bit just where he gets to the point where he starts talking about atheism, how to refute it. So we'll do some commentary. We'll have some fun. We'll talk about it. We'll see how it goes. All right. Let's go ahead and screen share. Get this going. Before I do that, let me make sure I don't have anything that's going to doc drop myself up here on the screen. Get any more death threats like I've done before. All right, there we go. That's good. Cancel. And need that. Share screen. All right, my man. All right, guys. Hopefully you guys will be able to hear this okay. Let's get this going. You guys may, it is kind of funny. Calvinists always have these wonderful beards going on. Like the beard game's always strong with Calvinists. So let me give credit where credit's due first. Kind of like I should give credit to the Republicans on election day when they voted a dead person into office. Like that's true. Ex guy, ex pimp of the Bunny Ranch in Nevada. He was running for office. He died, and they still voted for him. Bravo, conservatives. Anyways, let's go over here. Let's check this out. Let's see what Mr. Jeff has to say tonight.
They brought like a whole trunk load of books and things and resources, and I want to do a lot of interaction in particular on Mormonism. So atheism and agnosticism. This becomes rather difficult to do today because you'll even notice if you listen to some of the YouTube stuff we have up, oftentimes somebody will say right in the middle of the video that they're an atheist, and then halfway through they're an agnostic. And then after that, they become sort of a pagan idolater, right? So they just kind of shift, like moving the goal.
That must be like a funny kind of Christian inside joke there. Like, it wasn't very humorous to be like, and then they become a pagan because they're worshiping something else that isn't the Christian God, so therefore pagan. I guess wouldn't Muslims kind of be pagan according to their ideology? Because it's like any other God that isn't the Christian God. I don't know. I might be wrong about that, but that seems like the kind of mentality that I hear often from people.
Posts all the way through. Here's the thing. Classically, the definition of atheism is awe without theism, or it's a denial of the belief of God, it's a denial of the existence of God, or more classically defined, atheism says there is no God, period. Now, today, modern atheists are actually, many of them, say in the new atheism movement, will say I'm an atheist, but it turns out really they're an agnostic as they describe themselves. There seems to be sort of a collision of definitions happening today with atheists, where they say, I'm not saying that they're...
I just want to say that I will not be having a conversation tonight about the definition of atheism. There is not been a machine built that can measure as little as I care about the definition of atheism and whether it means you don't believe in God strongly or you don't know if a God. I just don't give a shit. I'm sorry. I've heard people argue it. It's on YouTube over and over again. Not an interesting topic. Just need to say that. So if you were coming here, I know you weren't, to hear me argue about what the definition of atheism is, I could give two shits.
Absolutely is no God. I'm saying that the gods that I know about, they don't truly exist. What agnosticism actually says is that we can't know ultimately anything propositionally. We can't know if there's a God, if God exists. We just cannot know. And so the word awe, negation of, and then the Greek word gnosis, or for knowledge. Okay, so we're without knowledge. Knowledge cannot be gained or had. We cannot know. So I can immediately, if you've already caught it, I hope you have, you can immediately refute agnosticism when it starts speaking. So the agnostic says, we can't know anything. Do you know that?
I don't think that's what agnosticism means.
Well, there are two definitions, well, at least two definitions of agnosticism. And actually I have, what's his name? Soli Deo Gloria, to thank for this, because he asked me in the chat one time, maybe like a month ago, and I'm probably going to forget what it was, but he asked me if I was a Huxleyan. Is that right? Huxleyan agnostic? And I was like, no idea what you're talking about. So then I went and looked it up. I was like, oh, okay. So I'm a soft agnostic, not a hard agnostic. So yeah, hard agnostics would say it is impossible to know if a God exists. Whereas me, a soft agnostic, would say, well, I don't see any evidence for it. I'm unconvinced by the arguments, but it's possible that an argument could come up that, oh, so he's
actually in here. Solar's a good dude. I actually like Solar.
That's awesome.
Yeah, he's a smart dude, man.
Oh, and he says it, yep, between strong atheism and weak. Oh, well, I guess it's atheism, but yeah.
But like I said, we're not worried about the definition of atheism tonight. This was just a small point.
This guy isn't on like heroin or cocaine or something. I mean, he's moving around a lot on the screen.
Oh yeah, well he's so. Well, let me start screen sharing again so I can talk about him the way. I don't want to talk shit about the way he looks, but I mean, he's clean, man. Listen, if I could pull this style right here, I would do it. I'm not gonna lie to you. I mean, he's got full head of hair, nice clean beard. You know, he's got the tats on the arm. Like he's like the modern day hip, like
Yeah, he's a hipster. Come on.
like hipster Jesus Christian. It's the Christian.
He's the Christian Matisyahu is what he is. That's what I think.
But as a Calvinist, also believes
Yeah, I just want to see him bust that into beatboxing. I think.
He can have all the style he wants. But under his belief structure, God makes children go to hell. That is also part of it.
Do you see the point? Now, someone might say, you might be tempted to say, and the agnostic often is tempted to say, well, that's just a word game. That's a trick. And the answer is no, it's not a word game. It's not a trick. It's a self-refutation. You see, here's the thing. Christians don't make those kinds of claims or mistakes. The Christian does not say, no knowledge is possible, immediately refuting themselves, making a knowledge claim. So when someone says, we cannot know anything at all, you said it. Do you know that? And they go, well, yes, I know that. Then you just refuted yourself. Your system is done.
The only thing I can think of here is that maybe when somebody would say they can't know anything, I think maybe they're saying know everything, like for sure, like in some kind of absolute sense, that because their mind is fallible, they're human beings, that they could be wrong. I guess that's where the only thing I could imagine is what he's kind of referring to here in this conversation. But yeah.
I think.
Yeah, please.
No, I was just going to say, I think MJD Amore said it best just now. It's adorable when pastors dabble in philosophy.
Yeah.
That's perfect.
Oh man, I love MJ's another cool dude in here. You know, it's funny. I actually have the cool Christians in here in the chat section tonight. Like, I don't have like the troll ones coming in here and talk. Like MJ is probably Soli and MJ are probably two of the smartest people that I've talked to in some of my conversation videos.
See, I'm not good at this yet enough to know who's a Christian and who's a.
Oh, you know what it is? Because most of these, as soon as I try to get Christians to come on my channel all the time, if they're willing to accept, they come on. Like, I'm like, please come on my channel. I just want to have a conversation. And both of them, MJ and Soli, were great people to talk to, and without fear at all. Like, no hesitation. They were both willing to come on whenever and whatever. And especially like MJ and I think are pretty good friends. So like we had a more casual conversation. But Soli, I really challenged with some tough questions and questions that I think a lot of people would be uncomfortable to answer. And Soli was willing to just definitely jump on that sword and say, you know, whatever he believes. So that's what I would say. Once again, let me see if we got any emails coming in through. If anybody wants to come in and join, we still have that open. Nope, no bites yet. So we'll continue watching the video. And I hope everybody can hear the audio okay. Let us know if the audio isn't that great, because I have to be on speaker for this methodology. All right.
Working them. It's over. Okay. Now, agnosticism is immediately refuted at the outset, because when you say no knowledge is possible, you immediately refute yourself. Every single time you open your mouth and make a knowledge claim, you are refuting your own position. Agnosticism is absurd. But we put the two together because they're essentially the same. When you talk to an agnostic today, chances are they're going to buy into the neo-Darwinian, micro-mutation, macro-evolutionary world view that we've evolved from highly evolved societies of bacteria and an ungoverned, unpurposed universe to get us to where we're at today. That's the perspective. And so agnostics today,
opposed to human beings being pulled out of the dirt, made into human beings, breathe life into women being made out of a rib of a man, talking serpents, human beings living in whales. I mean, there's so much stuff in the Bible. Like it's funny. Like he makes like this argument. Like, it's so crazy to believe that evolution exists, but then you could look at the Bible and it's the same thing. Like, there's still these extraordinary claims that are.
I mean, I could be way off here, but my first question to him would be, where did he get his biology degree? So
he doesn't have one. No, let's be real here. And listen, which is fine. And don't get me wrong. I don't have not everybody is going to have like a lot of knowledge about biology or evolution. I don't personally, right? But the difference is I don't go around claiming that.
That's exactly right.
All I say is that the scientists, and that's the majority of them, the people who study in this field, they say it exists.
Yeah, I mean, like us making. There's no way that I would walk around making any anti-creationist claims like, oh, you can tell from the geological record that there was no flood. Like, fuck if I know. I mean, but like you say, that all the scientists that do know that would say no. That's, I mean, as I understand it, would say no. That's ridiculous. What I will say is that yeah, you're misunderstanding, I think, Genesis 6 through 9. So we can talk about it from that aspect. But
it's like wolf bitten. Like we were talking about wolf bitten. And like he thinks he thinks like he's got thousands, literally. I think
hundreds of thousands, Skylar, hundreds of thousands of hours,
but not one actual course in a college classroom with a person who's actually done this. You can watch. Listen, I probably watched hundreds of thousands of hours of YouTube videos. It doesn't make me an expert in some type of field. And by the way, audience, if you have any questions for Josh or I while we're doing this, we're really just kind of winging this tonight. So if you have any questions for us, we're happy to answer questions. Wolfbitten, I was telling Josh earlier, has invited me to come back on his channel. So that door is open for me. Whether I really should go on that channel is the real question. If I should break my sanity even further. I don't think it's probably healthy for me, but I may do it for you guys, because then I could take the video and put it up on my channel and maybe tell him to eat a certain bag of something at the very end of it. If he angers me, if he's nice and polite, hey, maybe we'll have a polite and respectful conversation where no bags of something are eaten, right? Like could just be awesome. But I wouldn't count on that as far as that goes. All right, let's go back to this video. Oh man, my kids got me up so early this morning too. My son's been doing this thing. Maybe he's 8 years old. Loves horror things. I don't want to watch horror movies or anything like that. But he plays like Plants vs. Zombies, and he reads these like kids storybooks that are scary books. Like, what's the name of the book? It's like The Last Kids on Earth is the name of the book. So he's been reading these books that are about zombie and monster apocalypses happen. But of course, they're geared towards 8-year-olds. So it's not like it's too extreme. But he gets scared in the middle of the night, and then he'll literally wake me up at like 3 a.m. like, Dad, I need you to come tuck me back into bed. And then like one night, oh my God, I was like literally, I'd fallen asleep. And I woke up, and there was just like this being standing over me next to my bed. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, it took me a moment. Like, oh, wait a minute. It's just my son, Skylar. It's all good. Like, I was literally like, my wife's like, start laughing her ass off in the middle of the night. He's like, sorry, Dad. I didn't mean to scare the shit out of you. Don't loom. Like, you don't just stand next to my bed in a dark.
What are you doing, Dave?
I've just been watching you sleep, Dad. And then after he gets up, my daughter will wake up and be like, she freaking loses her passy. So then I'm up again trying to do this. Oh, man. Then I'm up at 6 to bring him to school. All right. Enough complaining about my life. Let's see here. Screen share. There we go.
They are functionally atheists. And the worldview is essentially the same. Because if it were different.
I'm sorry to pause this already. This reminds me of Matt Slick when he called my deism functionally atheist. And I'm like, dude, I'm a deist. That's what, by the way, if you don't know, for those who are new to this channel, I was a deist in my early days of YouTube. So when I argued with Matt Slick or debated with Matt Slick on the Bible from the Wing Nut Show, you'll hear me talking about it. But it used to frustrate a lot of the theists that I would debate with, because they couldn't use some of their same traditional arguments. They wouldn't be able to say you don't believe in God, because I did believe in God. And he's like, well, Skylar, your deism is functionally atheist. And I'm like, no. I was like, I don't think that's how that works. Deists believe that God created the universe and the world and all that fun stuff, that we exist because of God. MJ, What a great quote over in the side. He says, "When I'm sleeping, I'm functionally a corpse." That's exactly right, man. No, but it was pretty funny, man. But I just had to say that because I remember it was a whole ordeal of functionally atheistic when you're a deist. Oh, the lengths at which Matt Slick would try to like go with me. I'll tell a little story actually. So, the first time I went on there, and I don't think I did that well, honestly. I thought I did okay, but the audience seemed to thought I did pretty well. And I had never talked to Matt Slick before, and we started talking about morality, my favorite subject, and I kind of learned his little script about how he does things, so I just worked with it, and I learned to work it around it, and I kind of got in the best of him a little bit. So immediately, like, they tried to invite me on the next week because Matt Slick kind of looked a little bad, and they were like, "Oh no, yeah, come on next week, man." Uh, he's like, "Come on next week. We want to have you back on." And of course, I was like, "Oh yeah, I'll come on next week." And then something unfortunately ended up coming up that night, so I couldn't make it. I mean, they planned to have a whole show around me, and I was like, "All right, whatever." So then I waited one more week, and then I snuck back in. I was like, "Hey, I'm ready tonight," and come back in. So I caught him by surprise, and that's really where I've just utterly destroyed him. You guys can check these videos out. A conversation with Matt Slick, anything with Matt Slick on my channel. The best one I think is Matt Slick and the Objective Book, where they resort in order to argue objective morality, calling it objective morality because it comes from a book that is separate from their minds, instead of trying to argue that morality is objective because it's rooted in God's nature. I mean, that's how bad it got. They had to resort to basically calling a book objective. And I basically told them, listen, I picked up a cup of water and said, "This is the God I worship. It's objective to me." This is objective. This is my source of objective morality, or something like that. Oh man! All right, I've been through a lot here. Oh, it's so funny. One day we ought to go through like some of these older videos and watch some of these things and commentary on those. That might actually be fun. I haven't been able to do as many conversations lately. It's kind of sad. I need more of these going on.
Different. If their view of origins was different, if they acknowledge the existence of some God and they're worshiping that, they move from agnosticism to whatever religion or cult they're now a part of. And so you can see how there's difficulty for the agnostic at many points. But atheism and agnosticism are essentially wrapped up in the same thing. And many today who call themselves agnostics are really ultimately just atheists, and they're just afraid to say so, I think. So let's move forward to just a quick review of last night, just to give us some foundations. You guys ready to go? Yes? So the foundation is revelation, the revelational epistemology. I told you guys about how do we know what we know. Now, epistemology, again, just a fancy word that just means the theory of knowledge. How do you know what you know? Now, you might think, well, this just seems like highfalutin stuff, and what's the point? Do we really get into this discussion with somebody? If you don't use the word, doesn't matter. Everybody has an epistemology. They have a view of how they know what they know. Whether they've thought consciously about it or not, everybody has an epistemology, and it's important to get to the bottom of how we know what we know. Many today are, say, empiricists in their epistemology. They'll say something to the effect of, well, I believe in science, whatever that means. I believe in science, as though the Christian is the blind faith religionist, while the atheist
kind of is blind faith. Like, how a Christian basically comes to their understanding of knowledge, their epistemology, is all through the Bible. Like, this is where they get this concept that God gives them knowledge, is by reading the Bible, right? It's funny because he makes these arguments now, but he would never have made these arguments. Well, he probably grew up Christian, is what I would imagine. But it's funny now that you read a Bible, now you believe this is how you have knowledge, right? In the past, you would have believed you had knowledge from some other reason. And I think it's a little disingenuous too, that he's saying that like atheists or non-believers are just like, I believe in science. Like, I think that's not a good way to put it. I think people believe in certain concepts because of science, because it's accessible, demonstratable, things along that line. But I'm interested to see where this goes. I mean, he's obviously going to be a Calvinist. He's probably a presuppositionalist also. So he's probably going to try to make some arguments that atheists can't know anything, which we all know is complete nonsense. Once again, audience, if you have any Christians out there you want to come in the show, oh, you know, I don't even know I should give him any attention here over here in the chat. But you know, your friend Josh, Mr. John Cowan, the man who says that you have stolen valor.
Oh my God.
The man who the first words that came out of his mouth when he had the courage to come on my show was, "What kind of fancy words you got for me, Mr. Skylar? What you got any of them fancy words and those fancy arguments you can give me this evening?"
Oh my God.
You already know it. When somebody's argument starts with "you're using fancy words," like, I mean, what does that mean, fancy word? Like, I guess epistemology would be a fancy word.
Yeah, that's
Stolen that. You know, you shouldn't stop. You should stop faking that you were in the military, Josh.
yeah, I really should. I really should.
He's like, I want to see a military ID. Oh, Josh, I want you to show a military ID.
Yeah, show me your DD-214.
Let me show information online where people could take my information and steal my identity.
God. Oh, that's all right.
So funny.
I think Megan told me he said he was in the service. So, you know, of course, I haven't seen his face. I mean, if I was thinking about this from a bravery perspective here. I mean, you can see my face. Anyway, I don't know.
We all, he's a troll. I don't even know who he is. I mean, he came in. It was funny that at the time he came in, it was worth the laughs.
Yeah.
I always like you gotta give credit where credit's due. Sometimes people come on here purely for entertainment factor, and that was one of those people. So more power to you, John.
Yeah, I haven't seen not that I've been really looking, but I don't see Jesus.
He's not here tonight. And you knew what's his name too? What's the other guy? GHP? What's the guy? He's always in there talking.
Oh yeah.
They always think that I'm like all raged up when things happen. They're like, look at Skylar's face getting all red and he's getting so angry. Like they were even saying stuff about the video with Mike Winger. They're like, oh, look how angry Mike is and he's misrepresenting Mike. And I'm like, come on, guys. That was a really heartfelt video. We weren't rude to him. We weren't disrespectful, you know. But it's always funny that some of the GPH, that's the guy's name. Thank you, Audible.
Something else that's interesting is that was in that video that I've actually dealt with recently. Dealt with is probably the wrong term, but he mentioned that agnostics. What did he say? Like agnostics are just too scared. Something about it. Yeah,
sitting on the fence.
You know, I find that interesting because there was a comment today on one of what's his name? He did that debate with Steve McRae and Jackson Wheat and Chris.
Earth creationist, not Ken Ham. Yeah. The guy who went to prison for like tax fraud or something like that.
Oh not him. That's Ken Hovind.
For tax fraud.
Yeah. I think Chris Boyer. Yes, thank you.
Boyer. He never responded to the video we made. He never said anything about it. He
did. I must have forgot them. It was just one little comment that he said. He said he watched it, and we thought it was a good discussion.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, I think we weren't too rough with him. So no, it was fair. I like him.
Yeah, I mean,
about almost everything, but like, but he's a nice guy as far as that goes.
Somebody made one of the comments on his a comment on one of his videos saying agnostics are just they don't have the balls. They're atheists without the balls to say so, or something like that. And of course, I responded. I responded with, I feel like that lacks sophistication. That analysis, and he and Chris commented on it saying, because Chris said that's spot on to this guy. Yeah, you know, the thing is. I feel like it takes a lot of balls to be in a place where you have to admit you don't know something. And that's a tough place to be, I think.
To be able to say something like that, like to say, I don't know the end. It's not easy, not in this day and age where you're pointed at and made fun of because you don't know something these days.
Yeah. and I would say a lot of Christians, particularly Christians that don't do their homework, I would say that they have. I won't say that with respect to testicles. I think that's kind of crude, but it's that their Christianity, I think, is a crutch. And again, not all Christians. I'm not saying that, but I think their Christianity is a crutch because religion allows this hope for the afterlife, right? And that this isn't it, and it gives you comfort. And when you leave that behind, I mean, I feel like that's a very difficult transition to make, and it takes a lot of courage, right or wrong, whatever the case ends up being at the end. I think it takes a lot of courage to let go of that crutch.
I think you and I have similar backgrounds in that you were actually a minister. I was never actually a minister. I was studying to do it. But I know for me that it was like a process, right? Because you don't just like one day be like, nope, don't believe in God no more. Like those feelings, those emotions don't go away right away. It's like a relationship, really. It's kind of like when a girlfriend breaks up with you, right? And at first, like it feels awful and terrible, and you look at the world completely different. And then just slowly over time, it gets better, and your view slowly. Because I mean, I think I went from probably Christianity to more just a general God belief to more deism because of Alan Watts, because I got sucked into Alan Watts stuff and the romantic views of it. But did you find it difficult? Were there things that like after you gave up Christianity that you were still a God believer at that point, or did you, when you left Christianity, kind of become an atheist at that point?
I feel like a good way to describe it would be I had habituated tendencies. And I've thought about that phrase before. So, but it was, there was quite a difference between what I thought cognitively, the conclusions that I'd come to, and how I felt. Those things are very much at odds. Still today. Because I grew up for 30 years. I was an evangelical Christian, a fundamentalist evangelical Christian, and those things are not easy to leave behind. And I still struggle with that stuff. Because
did you? I'm sorry to interrupt you. When you left your church, right? How did that conversation go? Because I would imagine you had did you have other pastors there, other reverends, or like, was it one of those things like where you had to get up in front of your audience and be like, listen, folks, I know I've been preaching to you, but I've kind of gone a little different direction. All hail.
It was easier. I think it was easier for me in that regard because, I pastored the church as the associate pastor until I was accepted at Hopkins. And in September of 2009, I resigned from that position and then just attended the church. So it wasn't until halfway through my first semester at Hopkins that I actually, really became an atheist. And it was a difficult transition because, again, it's not just cognitive, right? There's a feeling of peace. There's a feeling of wholeness, I think, is a good way to describe it. And when you're not in that community, when you're not engaging with that, there's rituals. That's what they are. So rituals. There's a lack. But yeah, I think because of that, I didn't have to really come out with it too much. Because if you miss a Sunday, you miss another Sunday. Yeah, sure, people ask about you, but it took a while before I think people kind of figured it out. So,
trying to think, like, I know there was a point where I stopped going to church, and I went back again after I didn't believe in it anymore. And I remember sitting there like, I just can't do this anymore. Like, it was just a moment where I'm like, this is BS. Like, what they're saying right now doesn't make any sense. Like, I appreciate the camaraderie. Like, I liked being around fellow Christians at the time. I liked the praise and worship stuff. I thought that, honestly, that stuff is very therapeutic. I honestly think. I think that, like, when you're singing and you're not focusing on yourself and you're focusing on something else, you're putting that energy towards something else. It is like meditation in a way, and you will come out feeling better, right? It doesn't have, I don't think it has anything to do with God or anything. I don't think it's God sending the Holy Spirit down to you. But when you get around a lot of people that are like-minded, and you're singing and you're praising and you're liking the music, and you just feel good. You feel important. You feel loved and cared for. That's such a strong feeling, and you can see why people get wrapped up in it, right? And listen, there are some people that need Jesus. I'm going to say that stuff right now. There are people that are better people because they are religious people. There is no doubt. All right, because like they would probably be doing crazy things, but I think that what happens is you end up sometimes in churches like Ben the Baptist's church, like Al's church, right, where it's really just focused on the hatred and the anger, and not even just towards atheists and gays and people who are transgender. It's focused on people who don't believe like them, fellow other Christians that don't believe like them, and they focus their energy on being negative to them and being mean and arguing against them. I mean, I watched a video on Ben the Baptist's channel where there was some guy arguing with Stephen Anderson, and they basically were they were confronting him in a church, like they were literally yelling, almost like physically. Not they weren't physically fighting, but they were like yelling at him, screaming at him inside of a church. It was the weirdest thing, and the fact that they put it up on their channel to show people, they're like, look how much of a wuss this guy is. They're like, they have a big thing about men not being men, like manly men, right? So that probably has something to do with them having small penises, is my guess. Not necessarily the religion aspect of it. I think that, and like they're probably like, why did God give me a micro penis? And so maybe that's part of it, but then they add it with the the religion thing. I mean, and then you have churches where somewhere where they don't want to give women any respect. Jesus is Lord won't debate women. He won't. Like I genuinely feel I can't even imagine the person who would marry that guy. He's married.
Yeah.
And you can, I would guarantee his wife probably is, in a sense, like a victim of that kind of stuff, like that kind of psychology, to where she probably feels this is the proper thing for a man, is to talk to women like that. And women are there to clean and cook and make men sandwiches. Like,
and I mean, if you've been raised in that, if that's your cultural milieu, I mean,
that's it. Yeah. We had a couple questions in here. I don't want to miss them before they go too far. Soli had a question for you.
Okay.
And it was, Josh, what is the theory of meaning? What theory of meaning do you subscribe to? And he kind of clarifies philosophy of language. This is probably a more philosophical question. I don't know. I don't get into these kind of things. I don't know. This might be a little too philosophical for us, Sully, on these kind of ideas. It's funny. It's certainly not a knock towards Sully or philosophy or anything like that. That kind of stuff is really just not that interesting to me in a sense. Like, it's like we come up with, like, language is such an interesting thing, right? That we come up with all this terminology to just describe things that I think would be simpler to articulate if we just explained how we feel about something, right? Like, for instance, it's like the word atheism, agnosticism, any other ism that you have there. If someone was just to say, listen, this is how I believe. I don't believe there is a God. I don't see any evidence for it. I'm not saying there isn't a God. I'm just saying that I don't see evidence for it. Or if someone was taking a little stronger position, like, listen, I look at the Bible, and the Bible, because of what's written in it, it shows me that it's contradictory, and I don't believe in contradictions. Therefore, the way that God has described the Bible is contradictory. Therefore, God couldn't exist, right? Like, I think it's better to articulate just how you feel, what you're trying to get the person you're listening to understand. And I think we get so wrapped in these different terms. It's like IP, inspiring philosophy, right? That's a dude who just loves to throw out philosophical terms. And I think it's so useless. Like, sometimes, I mean, yes, it's great for like in a sense, like if you're writing a book on philosophy, but if your goal is to communicate and understand each other, throwing it around a bunch of terms that may have more meanings than the listener understands, I don't think is personally productive in that sense of it.
One of the things that I see, and I guess I struggle with people when I interact with them that do this sort of thing, is well, Chris Boyer was accused of doing this, and I think I do see some of it in him, in what he does. There's this idea of, they called it quote mining, and I'm not saying that that's necessarily what he does, but most of the time when I've interacted with him, not that it's been an awful lot, but most of those interactions have been him quoting somebody to me. And again, that's not a bad thing. Obviously, it's good to be very well read. But what I sometimes encounter with people, and that can be indicative of it, is people that have subscribed to models that other people have come up with, and they engage with, you know what it's like? It's like picking up a book on, like, an introduction to philosophy and seeing, all right, here are the 6 different ways that people think about X. And then you pick your favorite one, or the one that makes the most sense to you, and you defend it, right? And I think sometimes there's a danger. Again, that's not a bad thing to do in and of itself, but if that's where you stop, I think that can be problematic, because it limits your depth, because you find that you have this comfort in being able to defend your position. I'm a Calvinist as opposed to an Arminian, or I'm an Acts 2 dispensationalist, not an Acts 13 dispensationalist. And so you learn all the arguments for your, for your position.
That's a good point.
And unfortunately, one of the reasons that things fell apart for me so quickly is because that's what I did with my Christianity to some extent. And when I got to Hopkins, and it was forced on me, look, read all of these ancient Near Eastern texts, right? Read them in Akkadian, read them in Sumerian, go. There was no neat little philosophical approach to plug in, and I just had to read the texts as they stood. Now, once I read all of those things very broadly and understood, I'd say holistically, the ancient Near East in its context, then coming back to those categories that people had developed, it was like, oh, okay, I see how that category was developed. Mm-hmm. Because I understand all of the background to it. And of course, I can't do that with philosophy, because there's an awful lot of philosophy that I don't have a background in. But I feel like I'm at a stage here where, the question that was just asked of me, what theory of meaning? Like, I don't know. I've never read anything about the theory of meaning. However, if you were to give me a book on the theory of meaning, if it's linguistically related, I suspect that it would make a lot of sense to me, all of the background. Anyway, but just because I've done that legwork, that background legwork, I don't know. Anyway.
So we have a question from one of our favorite people, Jesus is Lord, and he wants us to exegete Ephesians 5, verses 20 through 33. Make sure I got that right. I think that's what he wanted.
Exegete from his worldview?
It's cool. I'm going to read it, because I'm interested to see what this scripture says here. Sully just wanted to clarify, basically a theory of meaning and the framework used to determine the meaning of words, phrases, and sentences. That was what he was getting at. But let's go to Ephesians real quick.
Sure. I mean, I would say, just off the cuff, I would say contextual analysis, but I mean, I'm sure it's more in depth. This question is more in depth than that.
Well, we need to come back on here sometime. We can have a different kind of conversation than we did last time. I'd really love to have you on again sometime. I was thinking about starting to host Christians for not host Christians. I do that all the time, but actually have Christians on to kind of debate each other in different positions. I think that might be interesting to do. I kind of like to get, especially someone like MJ, Sully, people I think are really well thought out, to have those conversations with people. I was just thinking about someone the other day that they would be real, that I usually have, like them versus someone like Jesus is Lord, or one of these people who I think don't really understand their religion that much. let's see here. Okay, so let's read this. We're going to read it for the audience. Ephesians 5.
You're not gonna like it.
I'm not going to like it.
No.
Gay stuff is what we're going to see here. Oh, it's all right. Hold on. Oh, yeah, this is fun. This is
Megan's favorite passage.
yeah. Whatever you want to sandwich, Josh. Just tell her. Just read her this.
I cannot tell you the look on my mother-in-law's face the first time I read this to her. I mean, it was in jest, but I
can even, it's funny. My wife originally studied to be a chef many years ago. She went to culinary school, and she would not cook me a meal till like a year of us dating. Like she was just like, you're not going to get used to this. Like you're going to earn this if I'm going to make you some food. And it was all so much better tasting that I waited that whole entire year.
Yeah, it's funny. I think Megan is an amazing cook, and she bakes. It's incredible what she does in the kitchen. But I think I never learned ever to cook. That's my fault. And I think because of that, she cooks, but primarily because she wants to continue living. Right? I mean, like, I think she would starve to death if she said, "All right, Josh, you're in charge of cooking." Okay. I don't know what would happen.
We never, like, it wasn't until I was older that I realized the kind of food my parents made. Well, first of all, we didn't have a lot of money when we were growing up. So most of the time it was like, there's lunch meat in the fridge, there's sandwiches, make yourself sandwiches, right? Like that was half of what we lived on was like sandwiches. And then my mom, I love my mom to death, but they weren't cooks. Her and my dad, like they got better. My dad was a little better over the years, but we ate just not good food growing up. And as I got older, like my wife started introducing me to like all whole wheat grains, like whole wheat bread and whole wheat rice and like rice in general. We never ate rice in our house. Like we were, your background's Irish, so like we would just eat like, I don't want to say Irish food, but it was like mashed potatoes. There's some mashed potatoes, meatloaf, kind of stuff like that. And then of course we would eat out, like they'd get pizza and shit like that as we were growing up. But it wasn't until I met my wife that I actually learned to cook a little bit, got a little better. And it drives me crazy. Every Christmas, we fight because me and my family, my sister in particular, because they don't put any fucking seasoning in their food. They're like, no, all that salt and pepper. I'm like, what the hell's wrong with you? Season your food. That's what it's there for. Like people ages ago used to die for this shit, for like salt and like seasonings. They used to try to get this overseas. That's what we fucking founded America on, was because people were looking
at seasoning.
They were trying to get these delicious seasonings that I can just simply go buy at a grocery store right now. Man, so I've gotten much better. But let's go to apparently homeboy's favorite passage. Wives, submit yourselves to your own husbands as you do to the Lord. I don't see wives making the God a sandwich. I've never seen women serving up God a bologna and cheese sandwich. I don't think that happens. For the husband is the head of the wife, as Christ is the head of the church, his body of which he is the Savior. Now, as the church submits to Christ, also wives should submit to their husbands in everything. Husbands, love your wives, just as Christ loved the church and gave himself up for her. So here's the funny part. Let me put on the Christian hat real quick. We're gonna put that on real quick, and I'll pretend to be a different kind of Christian than this misogynist loser that is Jesus is Lord. You notice the part here where it says, "Husbands, love your wife just as Christ loved the church." If you loved your wives like Christ supposedly loved human beings, you wouldn't treat her the way that you describe. You wouldn't treat women in a manner where you didn't argue with them, because I'm sure Christ would be willing to hear women out for what they were saying, right? You wouldn't mistreat women. You wouldn't use, for the reason women couldn't vote for so long was, this is a little thing that people don't talk about that often, actually, is like, this is where a lot of this cultural thing where women didn't have rights for so many years. Like, when did women get the right to vote? Early 1900s, something like that. I think black men could vote before women could actually vote in this country. And the way that churches would, well, not all churches, some people, like Jesus is Lord. If Jesus is Lord had power in the country, it would be like The Handmaid's Tales that is on Hulu. Like, I'm convinced. It's funny. I watched that show with my wife, and she's like terrified. She's like, "What are they doing?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's biblical. Like, what they're doing is in the Bible." It's actually a great. What I really like about that show, and dude, it is a fantastic show. If you haven't seen it, you need to watch it because it's basically about, it's based on The Handmaid's Tale, which is a classic book. But the series, it's about basically America is taken over by Christian extremists, and basically women aren't able to have, or women aren't in the world aren't having as many children, so the population is going down. Something happens where most women can't have babies, and basically women just become property of the government, and they are handsmaids, or basically sex slaves that are given to men to procreate children. And there's this whole weird ritual that they go through with the wives, because these guys are still married. These are just the handmaids that they have sex with in order to spread the seed. But you see some of the stuff that goes on in that story. You can see how somebody could take the Bible and apply it to modern days and make these things justifiable. And as crazy as it seems, like, oh, this could never happen. Yeah, you need to look around and see what's going on these days. Like, look at like some of the stuff like this, like what exactly Jesus is articulating. Like, he's literally having us on air, read about how women should be subservient to men. Anyways, let's keep reading this. What else does it say out here? In the same way, husbands ought to love their wives as their own bodies. So does that mean masturbate twice a day? I don't know. Sorry. After all, no one ever hated their own body. Hey, God knows that's the truth. Oh, that's actually a lie. And there are lots of people who hate their own bodies. But they care for their body, just as Christ does the church, for we as members of his body. For this reason, a man will leave his father and mother and be united to his wife, and the two will become one flesh. It means boning. This is profound mystery, but I am talking about Christ and the church. However, each one of you also must love his wife as he loves himself, and the wife must respect her husband. Now, the key here is like what submit means, basically, like how we break that down. I'm going to give, honestly, to be honest with you, it's probably because of the times back then when it was written. Women were property. They were objects. They were sold to men. They were captured in war and basically put into slavery and things like that. So this isn't too surprising. But I hope I really pretty much exegeted that for you, Josh. But I don't know if you have any thoughts on these verses, or we should move on.
Well, I mean, I don't think in a general sense the passage is unclear. I mean, this is definitely tied to its cultural context, and so I don't think it was in any way surprising that that women were to submit to their husbands. And so, but I will say that even though this is clearly patriarchal, right? And I don't think anybody's surprised at that. That there is care that is ascribed to the wife, even though it's in a patriarchal system, and I think that's important to note. So, I mean, it's not like I wouldn't lambast Paul if he were here right now, because this is the context, in my opinion. And I haven't exegeted. I haven't translated through this passage in a little while, but I don't think Paul was doing anything abnormal here. I think this was the cultural context. I mean, this is the same time period where slavery is absolutely normal. Paul makes the statement: if you're a slave, don't seek to be free, and if you're free, don't seek to become a slave. Be content in the position that you're in. So, I mean, nothing jumps out at me as strange given its cultural setting. But I mean, I don't think we should try to, in the same way that I don't think we should try to argue out of, a Christian should try to argue out of Leviticus 25 or, Exodus 21, indicating the things that it actually says about slavery. I don't think there's any need to argue out of that because it's its cultural context. In the same way, I don't think you need to try to I don't think anybody needs to try to sugarcoat Ephesians 5 to make it, say that in all ways women were considered equal with men. I don't think we have to do that. I don't think it's necessary.
No, I think you're right. I think it's better just to be honest with what the book says, and this is what I think it's important for people. This is why I say if you are an atheist or a non-believer, you should read the Bible. Like, read it if you want to read it and see what it actually says. It's the reason I think it's important, and the reason I do a lot of this YouTube, besides the fact I enjoy it and it's fun, I like talking theology, is that I wasn't aware until I started doing this the kind of beliefs that people had in the United States, at least around here, right? And I think our country is in a weird spot right now. I think we have extremism on a lot of different sides, both ends of the political spectrum, and I see a danger that's coming with religion now. This extreme version of it, and it comes to a lot of times from people who aren't very educated, and like they're Christians who don't even read the Bible or understand it. They're just taught things from other people like Ben the Baptist and things like that. And that's how they kind of get to those conclusions. And now they're just repeating things that they really don't understand. I know you might be a little upset with me, Josh, but I did invite Jesus' Lord to come in here if he would like to come in.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
If he would like to come in, he's more than welcome. But he's more than welcome to come in. I'm not going to just give out the link. If you guys want to come in, all you got to do is email me at skylarfishershow@gmail.com. This is for the believers, the Christians, if you're Muslim, whatever. Come on in. Somebody had a question for you. Let's see if I hope I got this. Oh, hold on. Where was okay, this is from Sabella. She asked Josh if he's ever read the Acts of Paul and Thecla. I hope I'm Thecla. Thecla. I'm not familiar with that either, actually. People, we have some of the trolls now are pretty heavy into the audience now at this part. I'm glad now when people watch these videos, they can see the super chat, like not the super chat, the live chat, and see what's going on. Because they see the silliness that kind of comes out of it. But anyways,
well, that is kind of silly.
It's so funny. It reminds me of, there's a scene in the, if anybody's ever watched the Howard Stern movie, it came out, I think it was in the 90s or something. And, one of his producers are coming up to him and they're like, the average Howard Stern fan, the people who actually like Howard Stern watch for like, I don't know, let's say make a number up, an hour of a 4-hour show. And they're like, well, what about the people who don't like us, the people that hate us? And they're like, the average person who watches, that doesn't like us and watch the show, watches it for 3 hours.
I can see that.
So it reminds me of these guys that come over to my channel. They watch it, they love it, they comment on it. They just they downvote the shit out of it. But
you know what? I can't. There is something to that because I can't
downvote somebody.
I can't believe I'm getting.
If I say upvote, could I at least get? Maybe that will work.
Gosh,
let me e-beg here a little bit.
It's funny though because that's true. One of the things that I've noticed is I'll venture over to Brat Towel's channel.
You could say Matt Powell's.
Matt Powell's channel every once in a while, and I mean his videos seem to get an awful lot of views, but he has very few, relatively speaking, very few subscribers.
Yeah.
And I find that interesting because that seems to be indicative. It might not be, but it seems to be indicative that people maybe don't like him and don't want to, subscribe to his channel and give him that support, but still want to watch the goofy things that he says.
No, and he's one of those guys that he's somebody I actually kind of feel more sorry for than I'm angry with him, because he's obviously, like I said, I've had family members of his actually email me and try to explain his situation to me.
Yeah.
So and so I have a little bit more empathy towards him. It's hard, man. You grow up in an environment. Let me tell you, if you grow up in an environment where you're taught hate your whole entire life, and you're taught, like, you can't just undo that. That doesn't go away.
No.
And it's really more of, I feel sorry for him and I want him to be better. Like, I just want him to get it, and maybe he will. We'll see. But I thought what I would do, I got rid of the other video, and I thought I would show you what I was talking about. Oh man, does he have people being arrested now on Ben the Baptist's channel? I can't wait to see.
God, that guy. It's funny because I will comment on some of his videos. The one that you mentioned about that, I think his name was Tyler. That I think it was a deacon or an elder or something in their church. And I remember I wrote something like, the vitriol and hatred that you guys show even toward people in your own movement is frightening, and it is. It makes me nervous. And there's a guy named Gilgamesh, which I find really funny, and he said, "Good."
They own it, bro. They love it. They wear it like a bad powder, man. I made a video where I took like some of the worst preaching I've ever heard from Ben the Baptist. Him talking about, I mean, he stole a line from Jesus. Was it Jesus Freak? What was the name of that movie? Jesus Camp, where like the woman pastor talking about Harry Potter would be in hell, and Harry Potter's, he stole a line like, if Harry Potter were real, he would be burning in hell. And I'm like, you can't even make up your own stuff. You can't even make up your own hate. You like, get original with it, right? But like I put like dramatic Mozart music behind it, and I was like, people are gonna crack up and laugh at this, right? Fucking sure enough, his followers are like, oh, great sermon, wonderful, wonderful hate speech. I love it. I love it.
Jesus would have been Ravenclaw.
Jesus would have loved how you told Harry Potter would be in hell. Gays deserve to burn. Oh my God! What's I say? So let's. I found a short little because I'm interested to see. It's called "Reprobates Deserve to be Reprobate." So this is only a minute and 46 second video. So let's see how this is. Let's screen share. Can I also? What's his name, John, over there? It's funny when people like put emojis of like the crying symbol, like they're laughing so hard they're crying. Like in order for us to try to understand what they're trying to say, they need to put that emoji like, oh, what I said is so funny. I put this emoji of me laughing at it so hard, crying. Like, what are you? It's like the equivalent of laughing at your own jokes. If you have to laugh at your own jokes, it isn't that funny. You need to have the other people laughing. That's the goal.
Yes. Don't want to retain God in their knowledge.
Okay, important guys. Look at this audience.
To the gills.
Like, look at that. Empty. Empty. Poor kids that are going to be indoctrinated right here. I feel sorry for these kids. Empty. There's Bibles on the seat. I don't know, like there's somebody else's Bibles, but nobody's here. There's just a simple little box, him standing right there.
As a result, I have no sympathy for them. They had a chance. I'm not saying every atheist is a reprobate, but certainly these evangelical, I'm going to go around and disprove the Bible. I'm going to make that my life's mission to disprove the Bible. These people have obviously been rejected. God gave them a chance. They even had a chance to be saved. Jesus died for them. At the end of the day, though, reprobates deserve to be reprobates. That's why we should have no sympathy on them. In Isaiah 52, the Bible says, as many were...
That doesn't seem biblical. That doesn't, like, I don't see why you can't have, you can still have sympathy for them and empathy towards them. I don't know if that's biblical there, Ben, but who knows? Probably most of what you actually preach isn't actually biblical.
Yeah, I mean, you didn't know this, Skylar, but when Jesus stood and looked over at Jerusalem and he said, actually, fuck y'all, motherfuckers.
Y'all motherfuckers.
You killed prophets.
Like, I see all these prostitutes over here. I'm down with them, but don't try to disprove my book. If you try to disprove my book, it ain't gonna happen.
For astonied at thee, his visage was so marred more than any man, and his form more than the sons of man. Jesus was beaten more than any man. He was battered.
That's not true. That is so not true. You're bearing false witness there, Ben. Other men have been, even if we take the biblical story, we'll just take it at face value. Other men have been beaten worse than Jesus Christ was. Like, I mean, look at like what Glad the Impaler would do. I think I'm saying that right. I mean, it really interesting stuff. If you ever want to look it up, it's very dark. But they would literally stick poles through people's anuses. I'm going to do a little gesture there, all the way up through their bodies, basically. And they perfected the art so well that they could do it where people wouldn't die. They would die slowly, but it would take a long time, like a day or so. So the goal, like they wanted to cause as much suffering as humanly possible. And that's just one example of human history where humans have really tortured other human beings. Jesus got whipped and nailed to a cross, if I take the story. But people have been beaten worse.
As a side note, Trevor, I love Trevor.
Yeah.
He says concerning the video, how is steadfast correctly spelled? in the back of I said behind Ben.
Let's share up there again.
Now, see, I want to give him, Trevor, I want to give him the benefit of the doubt. It's like listening to an Eminem song and he says, what's that line where he says, I'm exercising those demons. Those motherfuckers are doing jumping jacks now. and I want to think, oh my God, Eminem, come on, man. Don't you know that exercise and exorcise are different words? Eminem obviously does, right? I want to give Ben the benefit of the doubt that he didn't stencil that on there.
I don't know.
Maybe it stands for something.
Maybe. Maybe. All right. I'm interested to see where he goes with it. Actually, we should just watch Ben the Baptist videos all the time. This stuff is hilarious. All right.
Tortured. He was nailed to a cross. It was physical anguish. It was spiritual anguish. And he did that for all of humanity.
How is it spiritual anguish? I don't understand that. Like, how could you have spiritual anguish? He's God. Like,
I mean, yeah, I mean, I think from that theological perspective, the Father turning his back on the Son while on the cross probably is what he's.
But they're the same person.
Yeah. I mean, from a Trinitarian viewpoint, they're the same essence, but they're different.
Which is something that's always bothered me, and I need to get a straight answer on this sometime. Is like, I don't know how you can count something that has two separate minds as being the same being. Like, it seems by definition this doesn't work out well.
Yeah.
It's just that's a good question, and maybe I'll talk about that with Mike on there. Maybe I can think about that. This would be an interesting question. But I don't know. I don't know how a being could have two different minds, and then the Holy Spirit, which is, I guess, third, has a mind too. So how do we have three minds being the same entity?
Yeah. I mean, so again, I think this is a situation where you have the text clearly indicating three different persons, right? Three different individual personalities, but yet you have the requirement from a theological standpoint of having one essence, right? So if any man has seen me, has seen the Father, and the Father and I are one. And in the beginning was the Word was with God, and the Word was God. And so you have to try to, how do you reconcile, those things that are in my book? And I think that's what you end up with that's why these councils, of course, all of these considered heretical viewpoints came up early in the church, and that's why you can't wrap your head around that if you're trying to reconcile those two things from a logical standpoint. I don't know that you can.
And I think it's like, don't get me wrong, I've heard arguments for the Trinity before.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Against it, and I really think it's I think there's good arguments on both sides, actually. Part of me leans towards there is no such thing as a Trinity. I think it is talking about different gods, to be honest with you. But I've heard also that I think Scripture could go either way on this subject. I mean, because once again, I believe Scripture is contradictory.
Sure.
But I think it can go either way. But I think I can see how two different theists can get different passages and lead them to believe either way.
Oh yeah, no question, and that's why that's why I think you have very strong Calvinistic passages and you have very strong Arminian passages, and you're just trying to trying to, how do we make these things fit together? And if you have that viewpoint that the text is the inspired word of God and that it's infallible, then it has to go together. So you have to come up with a model.
I agree.
Even the atheists. 2 Peter 2:12 says, but these as natural brute beasts made to be taken and destroyed, speak evil of the things that they understand not, and shall utterly perish in their own corruption. The Bible says they're made to be taken and destroyed, these people. There's no hope for them. We shouldn't have sympathy for them. Understand this. Think of what Jesus went through. Again, beaten, bloody, battered, tortured, nailed to a cross to purchase our salvation. All we had to do is receive the gift by believing on him. And what did they do in response?
Did you see what he put on the screen?
Oh my God.
Stephen Hawkins, there is no heaven in fairy tale. Like, this is the kind of shit that it lets you know that some of this is for attention. Right? Because that's one of the Ben the Baptist's most popular videos, was him basically saying Stephen Hawkins was in hell.
Yeah.
They're saying things to be controversial. So I came on my channel. He saw that video with Matt Powell when it happened that went viral, and he got over like 125,000 views or something like that. And he thought that he would be able to do the same thing. That he would come on, say something extreme like Matt did, that would get his channel some attention, and he'd have more people watching. But what Ben wasn't ready for was to actually have a theological debate.
It was funny.
And I was not, at least with Matt was pleasant and polite, right? He said some, things that I, 100% disagree with and that are atrocious, no questions asked. But at least Matt was a very polite individual and just seemed kind of like a young, naive kid. Ben, on the other hand, was just like pure evil incarnate. Like when you talk to him, like the rage, the internal rage that is underneath him. I could tell from the very beginning the anger that he felt inside. So, he came on with a mission, and this kind of stuff is all just to get him the attention and the views. As far as that goes, let's see here. Go back to this. It's hard. I've interrupted this video like 4 times and within a minute and 29 seconds.
They spit in his face. They spit in his face. So I don't have any sympathy for them. I look at reprobation as almost.
They're not the same people. Like, even if I believe Jesus had his face spit, it wasn't like anybody now who did it. Like, it's just some guy who doesn't believe in the Bible now. They just read it like this is bullshit. I don't know why that is equivalent to you shouldn't feel sorry for them.
It's like a curse. It's a curse on their life. They can never be saved, and they deserve it.
Okay. Okay, let's stop sharing that. Let's see if I can find another funny one. There's some really good ones by Ben here.
Atheists don't want to retain.
Oh, don't want that one. Where's the one? Oh, here. Here we go. Watch the sissy. He calls everybody sissy is what it is.
Oh, yeah.
He does a lot of that. Or we got another fun one. Did I ever do commentary on the time when he did that reaction to me? I don't think. Oh, here. Well, fuck it. Listen, can I also say I don't know. This is a little bit of kind of like toot my own horn here, right? I want you to take a look at something. Look at the views on these channels, these videos, right? 278. He's got a higher one here, 697. Oh, that one's pretty high, 1.2. But most of them are around 500. A couple higher ones. Here's his apology video.
I remember that. I'm sorry, but I sucked so badly.
One of his highest rated videos in the last 6 months is when he came on to complain about me. I will play that for you guys, just in case you haven't seen it. This is after I stomped his ass in a debate, and he got very, very mad at me. You should, if you haven't seen it, a conversation with Ben the Baptist. It's on my channel. It's literally, I think, one of the best videos I've ever had. But here we go.
I just want to take this time to apologize to my audience.
And this is right after he got off of my show, so keep this in mind.
Right now, I participated in a live stream tonight. It's going to be yesterday by the time you guys see this video, with someone who I thought could possibly get saved I figured there might be some good in trying to just share what I believe the Bible says on some issues with his audience. And instead, I was basically just accused of trying to get attention for myself. And he spent the whole thing just attacking me personally.
That's not true at all. I didn't attack him personally, the whole thing. Watch the video, guys. You can see it.
Yeah, I mean, he attacked everybody personally.
Yeah.
Homos, what was it that he said? He didn't want to say homos, beasts. He
Beast.
said, would that be better? Beasts, animals, reprobates.
I asked him not to use negative terms for gay
What
people.
a jackass.
And then he called me a libtard and all.
Yeah, that's when the floodgates opened. I
That's
remember.
when I was like, that's when I really got into
You can
it.
eat a bag of dicks.
Yeah.
I made a joke using the word libtard. I was clearly kidding. I was smiling when I said it, just trying to keep the
He always has a creepy smile on his face. So, like, when you were calling gay people beast, you were smiling. When anytime you use it, after I told you not to do that, or calling people homos, you were smiling. You have this.
We should take all them gays out and stone them. Yeah.
Oh, I'm not screen sharing shit. I didn't realize I was screen sharing for people to watch. Fuck. Probably hear it. All right, let's go back to this.
Discussion, civil and lighthearted. And he uses that as justification to start cussing at me and using filthy communication. I had told
filthy communication. It's filthy. It's so dirty.
Told him in the email I sent to him, you can say whatever you want. You can be as mean as you want. Just don't cuss. But that wasn't enough for that guy because he's a reprobate. He turned out to be a total God-hating, demonic, little, just pathetic coward.
All right. So that's true. He did actually email me and said not to curse, and I agreed to it. But when I asked him when he was on my channel not to use words like homo, refer to gay people as beast, he refused to do so. So at one point, he started calling me names, libtard and things like that. And that's when I chose to use language so he couldn't use it. And also, there's a little game he was trying to play here. And this is the kind of like victimization of Christians and something he was trying to do. As he basically said, you can be as mean as you want to me, but don't curse, because he wanted me to be mean to him. He wanted me to make it look like I'm the mean, bad atheist being mean to Christians. Right? So he could take that video without the curse words and put it on his channel.
And cursing is not an offense against him.
Yes.
It's an offense against God.
Exactly. And so that's what his goal was. His whole goal, he wanted me to be mean. He wanted to be the victim. And I was treating him with respect. I called him brother multiple times, actually. I obviously disagree with him on things, but I was respectful when I did that. It wasn't until I caught him lying to me multiple times. And I asked him if he, when he used words like homo or beast, was he purposely trying to be mean? And he said yes. And I asked him if God wanted him to be mean to people, and he said yes. So this is all out of his words. These are words from his mouth.
And, he spent the whole time attacking me. I held back. If you noticed in the interview, I just stopped trying after.
No, you didn't stop trying. You got your ass handed to you. Let's it's not like, don't try to make it look like you weren't trying. It's just you didn't have answers to anything and you weren't prepared. I don't think you know what it is people like him they talk a big game when they're in front of their crowd and they're on the street yelling at fucking women going to abortion clinics.
Yep.
But like you put them in a debate situation, they're not good debaters. And that straight up came out when watching that video.
The where he started cussing, it took me out of it completely. He's such a little demon.
Demon. I'm a big demon actually, but what's funny is I didn't really even curse that much, to be honest with you. I think I called him a fuck face. I was like, all right, fuck face. I used a derogatory word for gays towards him to make him angry, which I shouldn't have done. I kind of regret doing that, to be honest with you. But in my anger with him, I used it, the F word faggot. I'll just say it. But I did it more to demasculate him. Is it the word? I don't know if I use that word right.
Emasculate.
Yeah. I did that on purpose to use that word because I wanted to see how he would react. And it was almost weird. It was weird how he's like the shot, like he just didn't know how to react to it. I was like, how does it feel when you call somebody that word? Doesn't feel good, does it? so I used it to give him a little taste of his own medicine. And then I think I was like, okay, fuck face. Now I'm going to curse every fucking other fucking line. And I did. And then after that, I stopped. I didn't curse the whole beginning. And I pretty much didn't curse the whole end. It was literally just like maybe 2-3 minutes within that little interaction part of an hour and a half video, as far as that goes. Did I kick him at the end and tell him to eat a bag of dicks? I'm pretty sure I did.
I think you did, yeah. Because he tried to get the last word.
Yeah, and I told him, yeah, that's right. I told him to eat a bag of dicks.
Guy is, and he's a reprobate. He's going to burn in hell for all of eternity.
That's so nice.
And you know what? When he gets there, he's not going to be an atheist anymore. When he's in the presence of the Lamb and the holy angels. So I held back. I tried to be the better man.
I tried. I'm just innocent. I'm just poor Mr. Innocent Christian. Coming in here and mean old Skylar fiction was so awful to me. Oh, Lord. Lord Jesus, he's a reprobate. He'll be burning in hell for the way he treated me on his channel.
Just validates what the Bible says when it calls these people implacable, unmerciful, without natural affection, full of all unrighteousness.
I don't know. I think I'm a pretty nice person, to be honest with you. I think I'm pretty loving and show empathy towards human beings. You don't have videos. I don't have videos like the ones you have in your channel, basically saying you have no empathy. That is kind of funny. Actually, I just thought about this because he's saying that I lack empathy, that I have no love for my other fellow human beings. And literally, we just watched a video of him saying why you shouldn't have empathy for reprobates and why you shouldn't care about reprobates. You have to find that kind of ironic that he's saying that's the reason I'm going to burn in hell, yet he's doing the very same thing.
No matter how hard I tried to be civil, no matter how hard I tried to just extend an olive branch to this person, just ad hominem attack one after the other.
I want you to know. I want you to know something, right? It's not the camera that's moving. Somebody is holding up that background behind him. So somebody is filming this, and there are people holding up the background. Take a look at it. Watch the background back there.
You say, well, you're just apologizing because you lost the debate. Whether you think I got destroyed or not, I'm apologizing because I went through with something I shouldn't have done. And I should have done more research on the guy and figured out who he was and that he just, was a total psychopath.
I'm a psychopath.
And he's a big meanie face.
Like, he's a poo-poo head. And that poo-poo head hurt my feelings. He made me look bad on the internet. Dude, fucking don't bring a knife to an intellectual gunfight next time, all right?
And I didn't want you guys to have to hear that kind of filth. So I take full responsibility. I disobeyed the Bible in the process. And so, yeah, it was my mistake.
All right, that's enough of
I just
that.
want to take
That's
this time to apologize.
It's enough of Ben the Baptist tonight. I think we've been watching these videos. All right. Oh, look, GP8 showed up. My other troll that's in my audience all the time. Anybody had any questions over here in the chat? Let's see. Before we wrap this up, let's see here. We've been going about an hour and a half. We got probably a couple more minutes.
Mm-hmm.
All right, guys. We'll do some question and answer time before we go. If we don't get any, we'll wrap this up for the evening. This was fun, as always. I kind of like this. We just put a video back in the background. We could always resort to that. Specific topics. No, GPH, you're being nice tonight so far. I'll give you credit. All right, let's see here. Have we any questions? Standing for truth. I've got to get back to you. You asked about somebody wanting to debate you on my channel, and I don't remember if I sent an invite to that person or not. But I want to have Standing for Truth. I had a conversation with him actually somewhat recently. We talked a lot about evolution, and it was an interesting conversation, to say the least. But I want to get him on with somebody who knows evolution a little bit more. I think that would be a much better conversation with the audience. Let's see here. There's a good question. Someone actually, I'm never going to pronounce this. Zuper the True Zoo. Why does the fake background drop seem appropriate? Is it just me, or does anyone else think it's telling or significant?
I think it's funny that the other background where he was preaching is trying to have the word steadfast.
Yeah. Someone wants me to get 𝀭‭us Sanchez back on here. If you guys don't know who 𝀭�us Sanchez is, and I know he's changed. People tell me he's a much better person now. But he was one of the first people to tell me that they hoped I got raped. So it resorted to a very interesting conversation. It was hilarious at the time, but we were having a morality conversation, and he got really, really upset. And he's like, "I hope you get raped. I really do." But I would invite him back on. He can always come back on. He's just got to email me. I don't know how to get a hold of him. I don't have his contact information as far as that goes. Sabella wants to give a big personal thanks to Psychopath Skylar Fiction for bringing Digital Hammurabi and Megan on the channel, because you guys are a wonderful source and help of information.
Oh,
we do need to have
you.
I feel bad because we never have to. What else we got going on here? Any other questions, guys?
Man, I'm surprised John's not asking a lot of questions.
He was saying whether we're gay or not.
Oh.
No. I think we both had beautiful women, beautiful wives. Sorry, John, we're not available. I know. Maybe one day, you know. They say it's not gay if you're sucking my dick. That's what I've heard. As long as I'm not doing the dick sucking, I heard it's not gay. So John.
Well, and John hasn't been exactly nice to me, and I mean, he'd probably need to buy me a drink first. So
bring something to dinner, John. If you want to get some of this action, I don't put out easily. So you'll buy me a couple drinks. Maybe I'll just let you look at it. Like, that's it. I can just stand over in the corner and Louis C.K. it, and can masturbate furiously and look at it. This is so going to get demonetized tonight. People often wonder why I don't remove people like this from the chat. But I think it's hilarious. I'd rather have these people right out in the open saying the stupid shit that they do.
John says I'm not as tight because I don't understand why he uses this fence rider term all the time. It's like his go-to. Everybody's a fence rider. See, even that seems like it has connotations.
Yeah, I was thinking about that too, like fence rider. Like maybe you take the word fence out, put penis, and now you have penis rider, and that's kind of how he envisions it. Like, you can't say it. He's just got to be comfortable enough just to put something out there, like, somebody please love me with all your fancy words.
John. See, I do wonder about people like John. Like, is he really serious? I mean, because it's hard for me to believe that he's serious.
I can invite you in. I'll send you a link if you want to come in and talk to us again.
You don't understand a whole lot, Josh. Man, if that is so true. I appreciate you pointing that out, John.
Let's see here. I don't think I have oh, let's see here. I don't think I have John's email. I might have deleted John's email after he came in. I was like, this is not somebody I'm going to probably talk to again. I don't know why. I need to keep some of these emails in here. No, it's not here. John, if you want to come in, you got to email me, bro. SkylarFixShow@gmail.com. I'll let you come in. We'll try not to use too many fancy words with you tonight. If you'd like to stop in. Jesus is Lord. I sent you an invite too, as far as that goes.
I love when people tell me what I believe. I love that. That's a paddling.
Trevor Loon says, proof of Genesis and made in God's image. When people see Skylar Fiction's penis, they say, oh God, and fall to their knees and worship.
I feel like every one of Trevor's comments are just like gold.
Seriously, I should make Trevor a mod here. I could do that. I don't know, man. I could do a whole show just reading these. It's so funny to read these chats and comments. It's been a long time. I think back to I'm trying to think what my first live hangout was back in the day, learning how to do this. I love when the chat came in. This was something that really made videos much, much better. Because this added such a level of engagement from the audience as far as that goes. By the way, I should say this. No, we can't. We can't. I was tempted to show the pictures that we got for the First Samuel contest. I
I have to say that they took me by surprise when they actually came in.
we had 2 pictures come in. If you guys don't know, because what happens a lot when I talk about First Samuel 15, I have to actually describe what's in the verse. And we all know that little ones, we'll just say, are systematically executed, right? So I asked my audience to draw pictures that we could use instead of me saying the words, because every time I say the words, my videos get demonetized, and then we get shared as much. So I asked audience members to send in like a picture of a representation of First Samuel 15. And the very first one we got was gold, like just pure gold. And there was I'm tempted. I'm tempted.
Just well, they took me by
I have
surprise.
the context behind it. You have to understand the person who made it was not me. Okay. No, I don't think I should. I can't. We'll have to wait. We're gonna have to think about it because I really gotta think it over. Because I'm afraid it might get me banned or something from YouTube or something like that. But it was funny, and there was 2 of them. The first one was really, really good. I think the second one is a little bit more mild on there, but it was still also good. But what I was going to say is I need to come up with good thumbnails for episodes. And you, the audience member, if you ever watch an episode of mine, or you can even go back to an older video of mine, like a conversation video. If you ever watch something and you're like, man, I really like this video, or I like this conversation, I have a really cool idea for a picture you could use for like the thumbnail of the video, or something it's got to be something you make, like Photoshop, drawing, whatever, right? Something creative. I will use it as the thumbnail for my videos and drop a little credit towards you for doing so. So if you ever have something you want to make for the channel, something cool, these pictures behind me are not fan art. They're friends art that made me back in the day. But anything like that, that would be awesome. Please feel free. Let's see here. Let's see here.
I thought I saw questions like much earlier, but I don't remember what they are.
Someone says, Wild Heart, maybe you can explain. I don't know what this is. This is Wild Heart 666. I'm guessing Skylar knows about getting mentioned on nonprofits already. I don't even know what the nonprofits are, actually. If someone knows, let's see here. I'd love to know if I got mentioned on another show. That would be fantastic. I did not hear about that. Let's see, nonprofits. I don't know who that is. I wonder if that's an atheist show. Nonprofits. It's a live internet show out of Texas. Yo, if you have a link to that, dude, email that link. I'd love to see it. They got 4,000 subscribers. I'd love to see that. Wild Heart. Please send me a link to that video that I'm mentioned in, and I'll check it out. Thank you. Email me at skylarfictionshow@gmail.com. Put it over there. Okay. All right. We have another person wanting you to exegete something.
Okay.
Gosh, I think that'll be fun. It's from Ezekiel, so I can only imagine what this is going to be here. Let's see. Ezekiel 20. Make sure I got the right one. The right way. Ezekiel 23:20 is what it looks like. You must know what it is already.
I do.
Hold on. Let me see if I can get to it.
You're definitely not going to be monetized.
Oh, I know this.
If you read it in the King James, you'll probably be okay.
What's okay? We'll read it. We'll read it in the Niv. Ezekiel 23:20. There she lusted after her lovers, whose genitals were like those of donkeys, and whose emissions was like that of horses. I have heard this verse before. What is all about? What is this referring to, John? Behind this, who are they talking about? What's going on in this scenario?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that the prophets tend to do is use shocking language. So one of the themes that's repeated often in the prophetic texts is Israel and Judah. They play the harlot, right? In the sense that they go after foreign gods instead of following after Yahweh. And I mean, it's been a while since I've looked at Ezekiel 23, but this is one of those passages. I think this portion, I think, is specifically against Jerusalem. But yeah, I mean, I'd have to go back through the passage. But I mean, this is just some of that shocking language to talk about. The idol worship or the foreign god worship is often tied to harlotry. So this sexual type of language is to shock the audience.
Make a thing about donkey penises.
And their ejaculations.
You know what?
On horses' ejaculations.
Let's think about donkey ejaculations. It's gotta happen. Okay.
I don't know if that was exegesis, but
all right. Hey, but do folks? I think it was either what was it? Wild 666 was that the person, or Metal Slug. If you guys have a link to it, please. That video that you guys talked about, maybe mentioned SkylarFictionShow@gmail.com. I really want to see it. See the video. He said they were talking about the Ben the Baptist. They were mentioning the Ben the Baptist conversation, so that should be good. I really tried hard to get Steven Anderson on here. I even went through Matt Powell to try to get Steven Anderson. I sunk low, but I don't think that's going to happen. I can try to message Matt again. You know what I was thinking about doing is I should just tell them that I'll do a one-on-one with like all of them, like Ben, Matt, Steven Anderson, like all those guys. I'll just like all of you and just me. I'll take it.
Yeah, take it as a group thing.
Yeah, like it almost sounds dirty now. Now it sounds dirty. Now that we've been.
But that'll get them in. I mean,
maybe
Steven Anderson is not a secret homosexual.
Yeah, he's not a secret homosexual. He may play one on TV. That's not a secret homosexual. What's up, Non Sequitur Show? I'm glad you guys are in the audience. Hello. We've been talking about all kinds of fun things tonight.
Indeed.
Which has been fun. Jesus' Lord Stephen Anderson says Stephen Anderson will not come on your show. I know he won't. Jesus' Lord, he's terrified of me. He would never come on this channel. That's probably not true. He probably has no clue who I am. Let's see here.
I posted that homosexuality is originally condoned in the Bible video on one of his comments. I never got any response. Not that I'm surprised. I'm sure he gets a lot of comments, but
you ever? I don't know. I always think about how like they must be just miserable in real life. Like they just must be. Like I think they're in this constant state of just anger and aggression all the time, and it just can't be a good feeling. I get sometimes. I'll tell you what. Even doing this, there's times where I just got to take a break from the debating and the fighting on Facebook and Google Plus and YouTube, and I just have to take a step back, right? Like I put a comment on the Inspiring Philosophy debate on actual a Modern Day Hysteria's channel, and I think I responded respectfully to somebody, and they're just like, Skylar's triggered. like I could get baited into that. Like there's no need to debate someone like that. You just use the word trigger or something like that. All right.
Oh my gosh.
What?
Sorry. That was really uncalled for. But Megan just texted me and she said, try and plug our new store if Skylar lets you. Skylar, will you let me plug our new store?
Please do. Go ahead.
We have t-shirts. She gave me the link. It's Teespring. This is way above my pay grade, but teespring.com/store/digital-hammurabi. I should probably just type it out in the thing. But it's got the Digital Hammurabi. I don't know if you can see that. You probably can't. Anyway, but it's got I should just here, I'll put it in the man, I'm so technologically unsavvy. I think you're muted, Skylar.
Oops, sorry. Yeah, I was gonna say send a link to it later in send a link to me later through Twitter, and I'll put the link to the video so people can check it out, and they can get some awesome Digital Hammurabi shirts. I think I should make a shirt and it'll just have a hat on it, like just like that, a shirt with a hat in heaven or something. I don't know who would buy that. I don't know if anybody would buy a shirt with my hat. People are like, "What shirt? What's the deal with your shirt with a hat on it?" They're like, "Oh, just some guy Skylar Fiction I watch with like less than 4,000 subscribers."
But you could put on the back, "Make the world a better place."
You know, you could. You know, and people are like, "Ah, it's a nice hat," and he's telling people to make the world a better place.
Skylar said to come say hi.
Please, Megan, say hello to the audience.
They say, please come say hello to the audience. Oh,
hey, that's okay. You told him.
I don't.
Hey Skylar, how are you?
Doing good. Good to see you. Thank you for coming on. Saying hello.
Hello, everybody.
We learned a lot, Megan, earlier from the Bible about how you're supposed to be stuck in the kitchen,
Okay.
barefoot, pregnant, and making Josh a sandwich.
I am barefoot, not currently pregnant to the best of my knowledge.
But I am a little confused. I don't see a sandwich in your hand right now.
There are no sandwiches, I'm afraid. I am neglecting my Christian duties right now.
It's okay. You can break tonight. But just keep in mind that I expect when you two are on camera together, that Josh will always be right there sitting, and you'll be behind him with a plate and a little sandwich.
Okay. I'll bring the baby next time as well.
Yes, exactly. So it's like a baby in one hand and then the delicious, like, it's got to be like a Scooby-Doo type sandwich, though, right? Like the one you see in Scooby-Doo where they're like 10 feet tall. I'm such a fat guy. Like, that's my, like, I fantasize about food. I'm like, Scooby-Doo sandwich. I feel like to have that right now.
Scooby-Doo sandwiches are the best, though.
Trevor says, hi, Megan. I learned so much from your latest video.
Our latest video was about penises.
Oh my! This is like the penis episode today.
It was just all penises in the world. It was great.
I did mean to watch that earlier. I think I thumbs up it, but I didn't get a chance to watch. I was like, this will be something for later. when I really want to have some contemplation in my life about, something deeper, I'm going to think about those penises.
It's a very philosophical topic to contemplate.
Indeed.
Oh man! All right.
Love you.
Love you. Bye, Skylar.
Bye. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you for submitting.
Submitting to it.
Just clear, there's absolutely no need for anybody to submit in this relationship.
Yeah, it's more like we're probably submitting to the husband. More like
that is a very patient woman that just walked out of this room.
My wife, if I ever tried to get my wife to submit to me, I'd think with no fucking balls on, is what would happen. Like me with like a pack of ice on like a fucking ballless fucking penis.
You gotta have strong women, strong independent women.
Yeah, you gotta have strong women. People don't realize, like, that's the thing, is like someone like Jesus' Lord thinks he has the better of the situation because his wife is submissive to him. You don't realize the strong woman makes you better. They make you better in life. They challenge you, and as a couple, you're a power couple if you come together. Especially you have two smart people. With Jesus' Lord, he's a teacher, and it was funny. And I am not very strong at grammar. I misspell things all the time, but I do find it ironic as a teacher. He was misspelling words all throughout my videos, and I'm like, oh man, I always think like, luckily, like if he lived in the same state as me, and like, I came into school one day to meet my new son's teacher, and then I was hearing him talk.
I know that voice.
Like, I would be like, "Oh dear Lord." Yeah, non sequitur. I think it's Kyle doing this count. So he's a teacher. That's the scary part. Oh, someone asked, "Am I calling his wife dumb?" I don't know his wife. I don't want to call his. I'm not calling his wife dumb. I feel more empathy for his wife more than anything. and hope. What I really, to tell you the truth, I think Jesus is all talk, to be honest with you. His wife probably fucking wears the family, probably pays the bills, probably makes all the money. He probably just she probably just tries to make him feel like he's in charge. So,
I do want to say something just as a means of clarity here, because I mean, John, I can't believe I'm getting ready to say this. John's making a fair point, right? And this is all sort of what we're doing. I think is somewhat rhetorical.
Yeah,
but I mean, it is true, right? And that's the point I was trying to make with the Ephesians 5 passage earlier. I think it would be very unfair to say that just because Christians try to adhere to what they believe the Bible is teaching them in something like Ephesians 5, that means that all of the men are dominating and keeping their. I mean, obviously, the things that we're saying I think are obviously rhetorical. Unfortunately, I would say, and so to finish that thought, I think there are a lot of Christian men and women that take Ephesians 5 very seriously, and the way that they interpret it is the same way that they interpret a sergeant to a lieutenant, right? And they would say that the wife would be the sergeant and the husband would be the lieutenant. It doesn't make the lieutenant any smarter or any better. It just means that he's been placed in charge by the general. And so the sergeant, even though the sergeant might know more than the lieutenant because he's more seasoned or whatever, he still says, yes, sir, no, sir, what would you like me to do? There's no, I don't think anybody really doubts that. I think the danger is what people like Ben the Baptist and their ilk do with that. And they say, I think in these extreme cases that they lord that in a very real way over people. So I don't know, John, do you think that was, yeah, he said, thank you. So, I mean, I think that, yeah.
But I think what we're really referring to is more as Jill, Jesus' Lord's attitude.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, we're not. It's like, yeah, you could submit to each other in a way that's not the way that Jill is describing.
Yeah.
Jill is the kind of person who just doesn't think women should preach. Women shouldn't be arguing with men. Like, they should basically be subservient to them is a better word than what we're talking about. Wildheart, I got your email with everything. You're all good. Thank you. I'm going to check that video out later. I appreciate it. Yeah, I think that's it, man. I think we're going to wrap this up. We've been going an hour and 40 minutes, and I need to do something else today. I've been working all day, and I need to unwind for a little bit. Guys, I want to thank everybody for watching. Once again, we are back on with Mike Winger on November 12th, which I believe is Monday at 8 o'clock. Water's under the bridge. It's just big. We're chalk it up to a big misunderstanding. All right. So we're very excited to have him on. It's going to be a good conversation. We won't get to have the guests that we were going to have on that night, but I'm hoping he will actually still come on another date. So I'm not going to share that name yet. We're going to let that be a surprise. He told me I could, but I thought it would be better to surprise everybody with who was going to come on. If Mike was not able to appear. Of course, we want all of you to go check out an awesome channel that is in the description. That is Digital Hammurabi. It's Dr. Josh and his wife's Megan's channel. You can learn all about history, lots of fun things. Just an incredible channel. Subscribe to it. Today, they had a great episode as we talked about penises.
And now we have T-shirts that you could get. And Megan is going to be so happy with me that I said that a second time.
With penises on them?
You know what? I think, actually, to be serious, she's doing this thing where she's very artistic as well. My wife is amazing, but she's very artistic, and she's been drawing ancient Near Eastern art, drawing representations of it. And there's a lot of erotic plaques with, people having sex doggy style and the woman's drinking beer out of a jug through a straw. Maybe she draws that stuff and puts it on a T-shirt. Who knows?
Maybe.
Depends on the popularity. So check it out at Teespring.
We're not going to get the penis shirts unless you buy the original shirts. The first.
There you go.
You can't just jump right into penis shirts.
Got to crawl before you walk.
Yeah. So check out Digital Hammurabi's channel. I appreciate and love all of you guys for watching. Thumbs up the video if you like it. or you like me, you just thumbs up. I don't even give a shit if you like the video. I just need the likes. All right, help a brother out. Share the video. If you want to donate to Patreon, I do have a Patreon account, which people have been so generous with their money and donating to me. I appreciate it. I don't care if it's $1, $5, or $100, like what's his name did for this last week. But you guys are amazing. Other than that, I think that's good. Until next time, subscribe and make the world a better place.